Welcome back to another Drop Podcast episode. So I got some inspiration from something that I saw just in regards to something that I think would be a good technique to do for this show. So basically, what I want to do is from now on, I want to start every single episode. I want to start every single episode off by saying something that is embarrassing, and then follow that up by something that is well, not embarrassing. I mean, not embarrassing. Hold on. What the heck? I feel like there's always something. Alright, so something that that I think is embarrassing. Okay, definitely did this last time. Back. Alright, sorry about that. Okay. So something that it's embarrassing. Man, I should have thought about this beforehand. Okay. Something that I think is embarrassing is so I'm not gonna lie, whenever I first started like this YouTube channel, and I mean even to this day, like whenever I started the YouTube channel, whenever I started this podcast, I was a little bit embarrassed by it. I didn't really want people to know about it. I've always been a little bit embarrassed about my business pursuits, and I think it's just because, like, I'm a huge people pleaser, and part of me, I think, feels like people think that, whenever I'm doing this stuff, like, I'm saying that I'm, like, good at something, and I don't know, like, in a weird way, I just don't like to, even though I know it doesn't matter, what people think, but it's just like, it's this weird thing that I don't like to push the boundary. Like, I just want to be comfortable with everybody, you know, like, I want everybody to be happy, jolly, best friends. But it's just, I mean, as I've grown and I've started to do this more, well, I've gained some pride. Like, now I actually do, like, I'm proud of the stuff that I make, especially my music and the content that I create. Like, it's, like, now for me, it's something that I'm proud of. So that's something embarrassing. And then I want to do, we'll just do 3 things that I'm proud of, or that I appreciate about, I guess, like, anything, just like anything that I like. So shoot, I really need to change that button because now I'm just gonna keep pressing that. So shoot. Change it right back. There we go. Alright, so that being said, I guess one thing that I am, I guess, like, thankful for, or that I really appreciate about, is, not to be corny, but, like, life. Like, I really enjoy, just being alive. Like, I think being alive is the biggest blessing, and I've talked about that before because of my perspective on how I think that nothing, like, we can't really know what the purpose of life is, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of up in the air, and it's just impossible for us to know. And so the best thing that we can really do is to look at our life that we have, and just be thankful and enjoy like what we have. Because like if you take a step back, okay, so like just pretend like you're a video game character. If you're a video game character, and you, well, first we're in a way, like, imagine that we are the video game, so we don't know that we're in a video game. Let's say somehow we gained the knowledge that we were in a video game. You know, what does anything even matter anymore? But think about it like this. Think about all the really, really cool things that you can do. Like, I don't know, if you're in the Grand Theft Auto video game, you can steal cars and fly jets and pretty much just do whatever you want. You never have to sleep. You can eat hamburgers. And so if you take that perspective and you think of life as kind of like that video game, then, you know what I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here to have fun. Like, if you just think about the blessings that we have, we get things, I mean, like steak burgers, rare steaks, each other, you know, orgasms, I mean, really just, I mean, there's just all these really, really awesome things that we get to enjoy, and that we take for granted until you take in that perspective, like, hey, you know, this, in a way, we kind of are in a video game, for as far as we know, you know, and for all we know, we are, or at least with that same sort of mentality or perspective. And so then the purpose of life is to just enjoy the blessing that you have, you know, and just feeling good, like, for example, like, you know, just living everything to the fullest. Like, that's why I think it's important to, like, exercise and stay healthy, you know, explore the world. Don't just hide. Don't be afraid of because, I mean, it is scary out there. It's kind of scary in this, you know, everything is just so random. You can't control anything. Everything just happens. We're on this giant spaceship, basically, like this giant self-sustaining spaceship with energy, just flying through space. That being the Earth. And it's just like none of that is like, you can't control any of that. But I mean, but you don't, you know, whatever. You don't even have to try, because look, if you just take it by the perspective, like, you know what, I'm just gonna enjoy life for what it is. Everything just becomes, it's so simple. Like, everything is just about living your life to the maximum, and experiencing all the cool things that this quote-unquote video game has to offer for you. But okay, the next thing that I am grateful for, I would say, on that note of well, like, kind of like, I guess this is kind of related. I was gonna say, like, science, because science, you kind of study this video game. So on the note of just exploring the world, our science is the way that we do that. You know, science is kind of the way that we discover what the world has to offer, and all these cool things that exist, that we can enjoy, and science is just kind of how we I guess, like, put everything, all this craziness into some kind of language that we can understand. So I mean, given that perspective, I don't know, it's a good life. If you want it to be, it's a choice. But yeah, so and then let's see what else. So I like science and I like math. Thankful for math for sure. I'm also very thankful for video games. Video games are just something that, like, it's just so enjoyable, and it's so cool to be able to kind of, like, just the idea that we can be, that we can create these worlds in our imagination and then explore those worlds. Like, that's kind of crazy if you think about it. Like, this video game that I'm playing right now, like, this isn't real. This is something that a group of people made up in their heads and then turned into a reality. Like, that's cool. I think that's awesome. What else? What else is there? So I would say, another thing that I'm grateful for is the color green. I really like green. That's been my favorite color for my whole life, pretty much. I just like it because it's just different. I feel like the color green just has something unique to it. And I'm also born on Earth Day. April 22nd is my birthday. So I've also always kind of seen myself as, like, I like nature, I like the earth. Even though I could probably be better to it, I like natural things. Like, I like to, well, as a kid, like, I always liked to just go on adventures, and I have these woods behind my backyard. And I always liked the idea of just being free. Like, I never liked being, like, I would go over to a friend's house and their parents wouldn't let them play, or wouldn't let them stay outside once it got dark outside, or we couldn't, like, go, like, we were limited on what streets we could go to, and that always frustrated me. I also didn't like whenever they'd make us go to bed. Like, some friends' houses I would go to, it would be like 10 or 11 o'clock, and they'd be like, alright, time for bed. I'm like, dude, it's the weekend. Like, why are we going to bed on the weekend? But I digress. Another thing, the last thing that I'll say that I'm grateful for is the economy. I think the economy is it's just such a really good invention, and without this organized system, just think about where we would be. We would be still as, like, a hunter-gatherer society, which isn't a bad thing. Like, I actually heard about this story today of this group down in, like, Africa somewhere. Like, there's, like, these tribes of people that still live in those societies, in those rural, or not rural, but in those hunter-gatherer societies, and they're some of the happiest people. So, but, like, I like to live in a house. You know what I mean? I like the idea, and I know I probably wouldn't know any different if I didn't live in a house, but I like the idea that I can experience nature when I want to, and then whenever I want to stay inside, get some air conditioning, I can stay inside and get some air conditioning. You know what I mean? That's a great blessing. And also, just the things that have been created from entrepreneurs, like air conditioning. Like, that's really, really cool that just promotes all that creativity. And also, it provides, like, there's a level of freedom to it where, money is money is how we have freedom. I can't remember if I said anything about this. I know I wrote about this. I'm gonna write about it in my book. But truly, making money provides you freedom. Oh, I was talking about this because I was talking about like the 5 like amending thing, or like I don't know, the 4 classes that I would put in school that I think should be like more of a focus in school. And I was talking about personal finance because it's through that that personal finance of making that income that you will gain that freedom from having to work your whole life. If you understand money and how to make your money make you money, then you can understand how getting money and putting money into something and just repeating that process will make you more money. Okay. So yeah, so I like economy, but actually something I've been thinking about lately, I think we are doomed to, I think we're doomed to a, to someday live in, a, some form of like a socialist or communistic style of life, because we can't, like the downside of capitalism, and I'll say, alright, so I'll say this right now. I'm very, very pro like capitalist. I also have a very, very open, mind. So I'm down to, listen to anybody. But I think capitalism has done a lot of really, really great things. But at the same time, I think, there's only so much innovation that we can do before eventually we get to the point where there's not really much left to innovate on. Like once we create robots and we can produce food from a lab, which we're already doing, then there's really no need to do anything anymore, besides I guess like entertainment. So just I think eventually we're gonna get to the point where robots are gonna be able to do everything, and hunting won't be necessary, and I don't know. I can't think of anything else. Can't think of anything else at the moment that would be affected. But anyway, so I've been thinking about this, and I don't think it'll be necessarily like a bad thing. Like I feel like we often have this perspective that like socialism will bring the end of life. Like especially as Americans, like we're so proud and take freedom so seriously that we're almost afraid of these ideas. But I feel like we don't realize that we are already socialists. And here's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna get myself in trouble if I don't explain. One, I already said I'm very, very much pro-capitalist, but here's what I mean. See, these economic systems of like capitalism and socialism, and they're not just, and this is a common mistake. They're not just what the heck? Okay, so they're not just. It's weird. They're not just economic systems. Actually, they're more than that. They're social systems too. And so you have to take that into consideration whenever trying to define what our country is. And I know, I forgot, we call it we're a free market or something like that. But here's what I mean whenever I say that we are that we are already socialist. We are socialist with capitalist like social values, which kind of keeps that socialist style in check. And but if you disagree, like if you think we are a capitalist country, let me ask you this: do you pay every time you step on a road, or do you pay every time you? I mean, and whenever I say pay, I say, do you pay someone private, someone who owns these things? Do you pay every time you step on the street, or is your electricity private, or all that stuff? And the answer is no. It's not private. It's owned by, or it's not owned, but it's distributed. Or not distributed, but the government provides you a lot of things through taxes, and that is socialism. See, communism is everything is owned by the government, and socialism is like some is owned by the government, but it's more so through the permission of the people that we give that permission to the government. You know what I mean? And so that's what I mean. We already have socialism. We just, I don't know, like I think we just don't like the word, or we never just think about it like that. But there's a lot of things, and I mean, I can't list you off because I'm not an expert. And so maybe I should, look into this before I talk too much about it. But, and if anyone has anything to add, I would definitely be down to have that conversation. But, if you have things that are ran by the government, that is socialism. And I think the difference between like us in places like in Europe, which I don't know all the details of France, but I'm assuming that everything isn't like I'm assuming there's 100% business owners out there, private business owners in private industries, 100%. Like, I don't know, probably Gucci or something. Well, in Italy, Gucci. Whatever else. So but the difference between us, the United States, and them is that we socially value this less government sort of idea. Like, we want as little government as possible. Like, even Democrats are like, well, let's be careful there. You know what I mean? And I know, like, that's the biggest debate. Like the only people who really want like more government is younger people, and typically by the time younger people grow up, they change their mind. And I mean, I just say that from how long, or from my experiences. Like, I think it's mainly college students who go through this phase of extreme liberal by our definition. So like these very, very, very radical, very, very left ideas. It's typically in colleges, but then by the time people sort of grow up and mature and sort of get kind of like a grip on things, it's typically gone by then. And let me explain, because you have your baby boomers who were hippies, you know what I mean, very, very much so hippies, whenever they were in their or at least, alright, so now I'm making an assumption. I don't know what age they were at, but I'm assuming that they were in that area of teenagers to earlier 20s. And I don't know if everyone was going to college by then, or if that was like a common thing that people did, so I can't really talk on that, to be fair. But then you have Gen X, which Gen X was kind of grunge, kind of more so, I would say less of that type of idea, less, well, no, not even, there, like, I feel like grunge is more like anarchist type of ideals coming in, you know what I mean? But that's an assumption. I think, you should definitely double check me on that, and I should look into that before I talk on that. But then you have your millennials, and I feel like as, millennials are growing older, you can kind of tell that, some of this radicalism is now starting to pass on to my generation, Gen Z, while we're going into college, But even us, we are even less, I think the millennials were the most radical, and I think with us, it's kind of like, well, I like my money, but I see where, like, issues like gay marriage, we don't know why the government had any business in that, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where we come from. Not necessarily this idea that, like we're not, social accept everything, but we're just, I think my generation is typically more along the lines of just don't touch my money, and we're okay. And that's obviously just from my experience, growing up where, I am. So, yeah, that's just kind of what I see. But nevertheless, I think, like, this all came up because I've just been thinking about, like, where is the world headed, and I think the world is headed into a more technologically advanced type of world where we eventually it's gonna get to a point where all jobs are gonna be, I don't know, like government jobs, and most things are gonna be handled by technology. And I don't know, I have faith and I have optimism, but that does kind of seem like it's the direction that everything is going towards. And whenever that happens, I do think that some of these, I do think that we're gonna have to get, more socialism or socialistic type of more socialism. What am I trying to say? So more, I think our government is gonna have to put in place more governmental things. Just for example, what's that guy, Young? The Asian guy that, I don't know if he's a politician, but he's more so liberal. I don't think he's radical. I mean, he's not radical, but what I mean is, like, I don't think he's, really, like, a part of a party. I think he did run as a Democratic candidate or something at some point. I just don't think I don't think he himself is too, like, far left. I don't know, but you guys probably know who I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure he was pretty famous. Like, he was pretty popular as far as I know. But he talks about this, what's it called, like the minimum government wage, or like the universal something income. Oh, I'm getting close. Is it universal basic income? I think that's what it's called. I do think that'll be something that maybe will be something that is going to have to be necessary, and I think there should be more taxation, and I think investments are going to go down, or the ability to invest as freely as we can is going to go down, and I think there will be an elimination of a lower class. I do think the quality of our lives won't be terrible. Like, I think we'll live longer and everything. Well, no, I shouldn't say the quality. I think, like, the health of our lives won't go down, but, like, I do think the quality won't be as as cool as it is now. Like, I mean, just think back. I mean, well, I don't know. It's kind of tough to say, because I do think that we're living kind of in a golden age right now, where like we just have so much opportunity and so much money in the United States that we are, I mean, even though there's restrictions, or more restrictions nowadays than there was before, like with the CEC, I mean, and how the CEC kind of put restrictions on investments. I still believe I still truly believe that we have just so much opportunities to make money. And I don't think if you do research and if that's part of your culture, I think you can 100% get wealthy. And that's what I'm trying to do right now, and that's what I'm trying to prove. But all I'm saying is I think that'll definitely get harder as time goes on, and I don't think I think it's inevitable. I don't think there's much that we can really do about it, just simply by the fact that we're just getting more technologically advanced, and and just for reasons of those. But obviously, I could be wrong, and I wouldn't be mad if I was wrong. Like, I think it's a great thing if we figure out some way to, like here's another possibility. We also might get to the point where, despite the fact that we don't what was I gonna say? It was supposed to be really good too. Despite the fact I don't remember. Oh yeah, despite the fact that like we're getting more and more so technologically advanced, there's also the possibility that like we'll probably find other ways to be able to market and find value in our abilities economically. I mean, like there's also like, I didn't say that very well. There's also other ways that I think we probably will discover in making economy work. Like other jobs that we'll find out. There we go. There will be other jobs that will probably they'll probably create and so there, we could also be fine, just being how creative I think humanity is in general. I guess I will say that is something that is definitely a case, definitely a possibility, a possible. Yeah, that's actually not at all what I kind of wanted to touch on today. I mean, there is no, with this, with this podcast, there is no agenda. It's just kind of whatever comes to my head at the moment. But I will admit, I do kind of plan things out sometimes. Just so like it doesn't go too dull, because sometimes I will, and typically that's just because like I'm tired. Like today, I'm pretty awake. Like I ate good before I did it. Like I had tomatoes. I've been noticing like if I have tomatoes, I feel like supercharged. But yeah, but I like to have kind of like a general premise just in case. because I don't like to be boring, you know. But so actually, what I was going to touch on is I heard this really interesting idea about phones. So, or not necessarily idea, but I kind of want to make like a point, I guess. So I have this belief that I've been, pursuing, and if you follow like my stuff, listen to my like Monday morning, whatever it's called, Monday morning things. So I've been starting to develop this idea of like self-responsibility and stuff like that. And I'm also dealing a lot with this issue of how do you encourage a generation of people that needs the socialization the most. And also, not even like besides the current events of what's going on in the world right now, you also have issues with you also have issues just with phones, like just phones being so prevalent and people struggling to just be themselves and just being comfortable with themselves and challenging themselves in like awkward situations, so that they learn how to deal with these uncomfortable and awkward situations and learn how to migrate through the world. Like people are the number one resource, and we're starting to learn less and less of how to deal with people, and it's a terrible thing. Like it's very very bad. So I've just been exploring like how can we fix this, and I've been under the idea that the best thing that we can do is not to change these phones, not make these phones less addictive. Like, let whatever happens. You know what I mean? But actually, or not even make the phones less addictive. I mean, that's just one thing that people try to think of as like a solution in regards to the phones. But there's obviously more to it. But just in general, like, I think like with most issues dealing with things, with items that we have, I believe that the solution that we should be focusing on the most isn't changing people or changing products or items. I think what we should be changing is ourselves. I think we should be more focused on recognizing choice in ourselves, rather than trying to make everything fix itself for us. Like, rather than trying to have everything serve us, let's just become better ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Okay, I'm at a point where now I'm not sure. Maybe a bomb there. No. Okay. Alright, let me check my time. Alright, well, it's right about time, and I'm kind of at a lull now. I did play, and I actually went further than whenever I started, or whenever I, check in before to see, like, kind of what I have to do next. So that, because with these games, the one thing about, like, Zelda is, like, I have to think about everything. I have to think about everything before I do it. And so it kind of makes the conversation difficult to have. Whereas Pokemon was just like, so that's why I kind of like to have, like a pre-idea. Wait, so for the next episode, like I said, I'm going to make the one thing that's embarrassing and then the 5 sort of things that I appreciate about life. I'm going to do that every single episode just as like a way to start in a good sort of positive way. But anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you guys like, the idea of the 5 things that I appreciate about life and then the one thing that's kind of embarrassing. It's just a practice of sort of like toughening up myself and putting more of myself out there, because I have this big fear. Like I'm the most afraid that people are going to start to know me as like this fake character, and so I want to be as straightforward as I possibly can. Because I don't want any misconceptions, any failures on my end, just in showing who I really am. So I'm probably gonna. Oh yeah, and I think it just makes me more of a human. Like, it just makes me more connectable, and I think it also makes me less shy to be who I really am. You know what I mean? And also, if I just throw everything out there, you know what I mean? What left is there to be afraid of? You know. But I don't know. So anyway, so I'm gonna be doing those. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Drop Podcast. And I hope you check back for the next episode, which will be Saturday morning. This is a good episode. I'm really glad we had it. If you guys have any questions for me for next episode, oh shoot, I knew it. I knew I should have started the question with this episode. I already forgot. But anyway, so I'm gonna end it here. I'll just answer that one next time. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and this will be up on Spotify, on Anchor, on whatever, soon enough. So that being said, I will check you guys later. See ya.